Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome to Tavern Talk at the Golden Feather Tavern. We are Chibi and Virtek, keepers of this fine establishment. The Golden Feather Tavern is open to all travelers to come and share their thoughts on the inner workings of Vera over a nice tankard of ale, mead, hot chocolate, or other delicious beverage of choice. So raise your glass, pull up a chair as we delve into tonight's discussion. Today is the 6th of March 2024. We are in episode 009. Time dedication and node development. And first off, thank you, Zalexia, for the resub there. Much appreciated. Welcome in, grab a seat. And Chibi, how are you today and what do we have on tap?
Doing pretty well, thank you. How about yourself?
Fantastic, fantastic. It's been a good day for the last 35 minutes anyway.
Yes, we've been quite busy over here at the tavern. But before we get to that, today we're going to be talking about things such as the development live stream that we just had at the end of February. We're going to also discuss a little bit about node development and time dedication for Ashes of Creation. So if those topics interest you, feel free to give us a like, a follow, subscribe to our YouTube, and hit that notification bell to see when we go live or post any of our videos. With that, though, let's talk a little bit about how busy we've been. We're not doing a normal podcast yesterday, right? But we were over on Nice and Is There No One Else's podcast.
We were, and it was very much fun. Love those guys.
So there won't be an episode 199 this week. It'll be next week with ShakaCon. But I want to share the YouTube video, and this will kick over to Nice Gaming's video with us in it. So if you want to see our, I guess, more in-depth thoughts on questions that they had for us there, feel free to check us out over on that video and give it a watch and a listen. But also, we do have a new editor for those of you that don't know. So thank you very much to Reliant for being our editor and allowing us to have more free time to adjust to life.
Yeah, pretty much. It'll give us more time to focus on some other portions of the TGF that we've been trying to work on for a while.
Yes. And given that this is the more laid back podcast of our two, I figured this would be a better place to kind of chit chat and welcome in Nemesis. And yeah, so Alexia, since you've been gone, we do have new emotes. Yes. Bochi, I'm wearing the Spider-Man shirt.
Oh, he's talking about a specific character with a specific movie. And no, there would be no Madam Web t-shirt here.
I thought he was asking me if I was wearing the Web t-shirt.
No.
Anyway, first off, I wanted to ask, what did you think? How was your overall feeling about the February development live stream update? If this is something that interests you, feel free to ping us in Discord if you are one of our friends that we've had on our podcast before or our close friends that have joined us in our voice chats. We will bring you in. Otherwise, we'd love to hear your thoughts here in the chat. Yeah, so first off, did you like the development live stream?
I did.
Yeah, I did too as well. Top Wombat says, good stream, loved the weather effects. Same, absolutely loved that. Was it everything that you hoped it would be?
I would say it was more, mainly because I think everybody kind of caught my sentiment beforehand where I was like, I don't know if this is really going to be one of those streams that people are going to talk about for a while, because it's commissions. What could they really show us about commissions, right?
Yeah.
It seems like there was a quick focus on commissions and going through what they look like and whatnot, and then it was going out and showing just how quest in general and the world works, and that I think was pretty cool. The way they kind of pivoted a little bit.
Was there anything that surprised you?
The one thing that surprised me is the gigantic radius of the. There's a white minotaur nearby beckoning.
Yeah.
And how far away it was before you had to run over to there. I kind of hope they narrow that down a little bit, but at the same time, I kind of hope they don't, because it'll make discovery of stuff like that a lot harder. But I don't know. So I'm kind of mixed on that one. But I know if you see that you know, there's somebody nearby that's beckoning, you know that whatever direction you were headed in, it's in that direction somewhere around a really long circle edge.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I kind of called a couple of things. Although they didn't show it, I definitely called it being something that would showcase it leveling up the node. And you see that at the end where like the black fog kind of like rolls in. And so I was like, I called it. I mean, they didn't show us what it actually looked like when they updated, but still. And then the thing that caught me by surprise, or the thing that I was surprised by, was just how seamless everything worked together. Like, I almost forgot that there were any specific quests, and it seemed like it was all very natural, right? There wasn't, even if it was scripted, the flow of everything just by proximity to each other was very natural. And I kind of wonder if there's going to be maybe a way to preview where a quest is before you pick it up. Or maybe you just pick up all the quests and then you drop whatever ones you don't want to go to if there's like a certain area you're not trying to go to. But let's see. Bochi says, no, I didn't like the title of it. It felt very like it moved on me. It felt like it could have just been named Questing or something like that. From a French guy, the title is like no word for it, but still a great stream. That's fair. Nemesis says the fact that they really thought this through on how questing should work with groups or making other people incentivized to group up is interesting, and I agree with that. Butchie says, I can't wait for them to fix the wind on the keep. And the keep was just going like wild.
I think he also might be thinking of the same thing that I notice almost every single time I see one of the capes in the wind, is it's stuck to their back all the way down to like their waist, and then it floats free. That's what I notice every time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also think another thing that incentivizes people outside of the questing system is the fact that did you notice that Steven was level 15 and everything he was fighting was between level like 8 and 11? I think maybe 12 fit in there somewhere. And
yeah,
they were kind of hurting him bad.
Yeah, I ended up commenting. We kind of talked about this last night on Nice and Is There No One Else's stream, but on the Voices of Vera. But someone in chat was like, how is he killing them so quickly? I'm like, dude, they're like half his level. Yeah, and then he hit like a level 11, and you saw the struggle like increase a lot compared to like a bit into level 15. So
yeah, I think that'll be good enough incentive to keep grouping up. And yeah, Galvin says, yeah, it's funny that the Minotaur beckoning was a notification, but they made it small and stuck it in the farthest corner of the UI. I bet we'll be able to customize it. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. They did say that they're trying to make it so that you can customize everything about the UI. So I think with stuff like that, whatever that little window portion is called, that's going to be right in the middle of my screen, so I notice it. I might even make it bigger.
Just like in your face.
Yeah. You gotta try to look underneath it to try to figure out where the Minotaur is, because the notification's just right there telling me about him. Absolutely.
Yeah. Nemesis says, my only complaint is that they should remove a specific quest marker showing you exactly where X item is. How do you feel about that?
I think that should be a contextual thing. If somebody tells you, hey, go here and pick up the thing, or go here and do the whatever, or you should go up that way, I have a decent feeling that they should be able to point at a map and be like right there at that spot. But
Yeah.
if you're in town and someone says, hey, out in the woods over by the, you know, dilapidated barn, there's a log of wood that has an axe stuck in it, then yeah, you should get a giant, like, kind of vague area of a circle to find the barn, and then you got to look around the barn somewhere.
I like that answer. It's kind of like a per quest basis instead of a kind of blanket.
Yeah. I think that feels more natural to me anyway, because if someone tells me, hey, go over there and talk to this person, and okay, well, where are they? Well, they're going to be like right here at their fruit stand that's always right here. I shouldn't have to look around for that fruit stand, you know? They should be able to tell me where the fruit stand is exactly.
Yeah.
But if it's go to the market and find Bob, okay, where's Bob? I don't know. Said he was going to the market to go find him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't we just have an ad? Another.
I think we did.
I don't like that.
Oh, you know what it was? You know what it probably was is there's an ad coming, and then that went away, and this came back saying that the ad is not live.
Well, we already. All right. You know what? I'll just leave it alone. Getting distracted by the wrong things. Right. Nemesis says I'm fine with radius for searching on items, but for context, if a quest giver said X person is exactly here, I'm fine with that. But for missing people or items, then a radius should be the way to go. So kind of basically what you said. Yeah.
And I'd agree with that perfectly. Like if it's missing or you don't know exactly where it is, like give me a general idea and let me look around. Give me some, excuse me, hiccup. Give me some context clues and I'll find it. Or I won't, and I'll just get upset and bring somebody else in and share the quest with them and say, help me find this thing, please.
So I have another question for you. And I know we know that the UI for Ashes is like all alpha. It's all placeholder. Nothing's finalized. But how did you feel about the look of the commission board? Was it what you expected?
I'm going to be honest. I think without making it look literally like a billboard and adding like as much immersion as they can in that way, I'm not sure what they could do to jazz up something like that. So I think it's acceptable. It works. It does the thing. I like how they had colors to the back of the ad or the commission to show the rarity. I feel they could even do something different if they were to put up like little parchment things stuck on a little wooden board as a background for a UI element.
Yeah. For me, I just I feel like the card element is a little weird. Not like it breaks my immersion exactly, but it's not what I expected. You walk up to this board and you see it in the Alpha 2 preview thumbnail, right? It looks like a billboard with like lots of different post-it notes. So I kind of expected that same parchment design almost. But then when it pulled up and it was like Magic the Gathering card style, like cards, I don't know. It was not what I was expecting. It's not bad, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I was at. I mean, if they wanted to go full tilt with it and make it look like an actual message board, then that would be really cool. But yeah, aside from that, like,
I would like that.
If they're trying to avoid that for any random reason, then I think what they did was it'll work. It'll work. It can always be tuned and polished and whatnot. And yeah,
also, hello,
Nemesis. Yes, hello. Welcome in. But yeah, like Chibi said, we had the same exact idea. It was, you know, if somebody gives me a general idea, like find this thing that I don't know exactly where it's at, then yeah. But if they can point to something exactly because it's not going to move, then so be it.
I'm being blamed for Bochi's off topic, but Bochi can't wait to see what kind of card game we can play in Tavern. In my Tavern? Ooh. With Ashes in Ashes. Yeah, I'm excited. How cool would it be to commission board UI as a node race aesthetic? Ooh, you know, that would be innovative. Okay. You could have it based on whatever the primary race's design is, and that would be really cool. And that would also tell whoever is like just watching a stream, what kind of city they're in, like the person is in that they're watching. You can automatically tell just by the aesthetic of the board, and I like that. What do you think the dwarven one will be?
Which dwarven one?
Either dwarven one. Like how would that look?
Well,
I just imagine seashells now.
Yeah, I was gonna say one's gonna be you know, metal and woodworking, definitely. All stylized and sturdy looking.
Metal pressed notice boards.
4x4s encased, 4x4 blocks of wood encased in metal at all the seams, that type of thing.
Yeah.
The other one, yeah, absolutely, it's gonna be whalebone and some kind of leather stretched across it.
Yeah.
So yeah, what kind of card game though? But yeah, it's gonna be a good one to think about.
Yeah. We can't take this question because it's Orcish. Wow, rude. I would be totally for racial bulletin boards, but at the end of the day, there are only so many ways to make functional bulletin board. Like, it has to protect from rain and such. Yeah, I don't know. For me, that would be getting like too into the weeds, I guess, for like designing it instead of just enjoying, to me personally, instead of just enjoying the game design for it. Like that brings it too realistic to me.
Yeah, I think in any way it would end up probably being cool by me anyway, to just kind of incorporate their architectural style into it and call it a day there. Because either way, like, paper is being pinned up onto a bulletin board outdoors.
Did you update the topics?
Oh no, the topics I did not.
Okay, never mind. That's last week. Ignore that.
Well, I will do that. Meow. I will do that. Meow.
But as our title says, we are doing Dev Livestream, which is what we're in the middle of talking about right now. Then time dedication and node development as well. And what is Ashes of Creation? Well, let me tell you about a world called Vera. I tease. Welcome in, good friend. Yo, how are you? I do wish it was inside an adventurers guild. Yeah. They can make them magic sticky notes, of course. That way they can look whatever way they want. Yeah, true. A lot of people said, you know, in general, like, Semi says we can also see the XP debt from his death and him repaying the XP debt as he plays. I actually didn't notice that, so I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that.
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that too. Yeah, I didn't take notice of that.
A few people mentioned that it felt very PvE versus commissions, but I think that's the point. I feel like the commissions are the PvE system for that. They noticed, Persemi said he noticed that Steven had some XP debt from dying, and that went away as he played.
And by the way, welcome in, because I was fixing a bot there while you folks rolled in, but welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, welcome Ezekiel, welcome Demon Soul.
Right, Ezekiel? Neither did we. Oh, I didn't see him gain the XP back. Interesting. Yeah. I'm excited. This was like, a lot of people were expecting it to be a lot more boring. I think a lot more but I feel like it was actually very interesting in how it was designed and how it was showcased. And there's a lot more that you can see within the feedback. If you haven't given your feedback already, Intrepid loves getting feedback on their live streams. So if you haven't seen it, Lord Forged, welcome in. Raiders, leave your weapons at the door and join us for a warm meal or two. We welcome you into the Golden Feather Tavern from Lord Forged, aka the Sleepy Owl. Attack back! Oh no, is that what we get for being for raiding you last week?
Nope, defense.
Defend the tavern. Welcome in.
A millionaire and magic mistress, welcome in.
Yes.
We are TGF Tavern.
Hi.
Tonight is our chill night. Relax, grab a drink, pint and a plate, pick your seats.
He didn't say it, but he's Virtek.
Yes, I'm Virtek.
Hi, Raka. But
charge.
Demon says, haha, trust me, if I come to the decision of being there on launch, TGF Tavern will know it first. Oh, he is Virtek? Yes, he is Virtek.
Today I am. Today I am. We'll see tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll be Chibi.
Dibs on the sofa in the corner. Commission part of the video was only for a few minutes. Honestly, the main part was showing the commissions lead more to quests. Yeah, I feel like the commission was just showing how everything built together can affect the node and then ultimately level up the node. It's Sunny. Hi, Sunny. I was building a town in Foundation and got us eat something for real. Yeah, eat your food.
Food.
Take care
One of my favorite
of the
things.
tavern for me. Yes.
Food
We'll
is
also
my
take
favorite
care of your
addiction.
tavern guest. Also, how are you not getting food at the Sleepy Owl? Do we need to fire somebody over there for you? Like, who's not feeding you? But yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, I thought you were gonna say something.
Speaking of so many of our favorite Ashes people hanging out in our chat with us, coming over from a different channel, coming over from their own stuff. Demon Souls talking about might needing to make a group chat with us and break the news to all three of us at the same time, since us three have been trying to drive the peer pressure train almost equally. Can you imagine what that might be?
I have no idea.
Penumbra says Cash doesn't feed him, referring to Sunny, because he won't shave his head.
Rude. Cash has all those delicious recipes too. Come on, Cash, save a little.
Maybe he makes them as a form of torture.
So Steven, on the 200th episode, you guys are funny. I love it. We wanted, but no.
Fingers crossed for a surprise visit, but it's not going to actually happen as a planned thing.
Honestly, it's okay. We understand, you know, with Alpha 2 coming up shortly. You know, Steven is very busy. Maggie's very busy. A lot of people are very, very busy. It's okay. And you know what? There'll be plenty of time in the future. But we actually were hoping to have had the 200th episode in February. That was the initial plan, which would have coincided with our 5-year stream. And yes, Penumbra, I am wearing a Spider-Man shirt. Enjoy your lurk, Demon Soul. Real though, to get my technical difficulties all fixed so I can go live myself. All right, enjoy. But yeah, Galwood says, okay, yeah, when Steven completes the Overlook commission, he immediately clears his XP debt and he gains some on top of some XP on top of that. Not XP debt, but XP. Varen Chef is on a break. Aw, man.
Womp, womp,
we'll have to get him over here sometime.
Absolutely.
But yes, so that takes me to the next thing, or what I was trying to, I don't know if I finished it up, but if you have not already watched the development live stream, I highly recommend you go watch it. And if you like what you see or you have any thoughts, please Intrepid would love it if you would go and share your thoughts on the forums, just like a lot of our friends have in the community. Nemesis won. Holy crap, I finally won.
That was an amazing, by the way, profile pic matched up with a match, winning a brawl at a tavern. That whole thing with just celebrating at the top with that face was fantastic.
I'm gonna actually bring up I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna bring up next week's question at the end of the show today instead of at the beginning. So I'm gonna move us along over to node development, which is our segment number 2. Ooh. How much should nodes impact the things around them? And I got a couple of these from Reddit. And the first one is node events affecting neighboring nodes. Why or why not? And this is from Intep on Reddit. And Intep says, what is your or our opinion on node events affecting neighboring nodes? For example, you do a quest line with multiple steps of cleansing a quarry from corruption and helping the miners there. Once completed, there will be a buff of 10% increased or stone gathering for the node and its neighboring nodes. Possible upsides, additional motivations to complete quest lines, moving of players to neighboring nodes to get buffs for their own node, things to kind of fine tune. How should the quest line be? What kinds of buffs are possible? How big should the reward be? How long should the buff last? How often is this repeatable? And how far should the buff reward reach? What are your thoughts?
How many nodes should a node impact if a node could impact nodes? I like it, to be honest. Honestly, kind of anything that can be, I guess, like a rippling effect where you do one thing and it kind of impacts a bunch of others, I kind of would be in support of. I'm not sure how hard that would be to keep up with everything else out there, though, like adding that extra one in. But it would be kind of neat, like just to be able to, you know, go over to one node, do a thing, get buffs for their own node, go back to your node, do a thing. I think it would deepen the complication of where do you quest, where do you kill things, where do you gather, because everything that you do is going to impact the experience of the other node instead of yours. So it would deepen the choices, I think. Do you help another node by questing there or doing something over there, which then gives you a buff to do things more effectively on your own node, or what?
Yeah. I like that. I mean, that's a good point too, because then you begin to talk about things like scope creep, you know, how much is too much when piling things on. And as cool as it sounds, you know, how easy is it to implement it, right? Is it one of those where it's actually a lot easier than we think it is, and it's just a matter of adding in a variety of close proximity vassal nodes? Or is it something that's a lot more complex because of the way that it changes the state of the nodes around it a little bit, right? Or like a portion of the state. And so a few people, Ash Zanair says, I think it should remain mostly within node unless it's one of those areas that intersect the ZOI of several nodes. For example, a dungeon may open up based on the status of several nodes in the vicinity. It isn't just a single node. Ezekiel says, from what I remember, neighboring nodes already get affected in a way of growth, and you can't grow neighboring nodes the same level. So I would like it if the quest line linked as well. I think,
yeah, I could take it.
I like the incentive idea though. Like, even if it didn't progress over to other nodes, like the vassal nodes or the neighboring nodes, the idea of it being like after helping the miners, you get a buff for X amount of time, like a 10% buff to mining. That gives incentive, even if you don't mine, maybe that gives you incentive to go and do those quests, because then the people, maybe you have people in your guild that are looking to go mine. And that opens up like that little bit of bonus for them to go gathering for a bit. And of course, because we know that there's an increase in your gathering skill at that point, probably want to bring a few friends. You never know who's going to come and try to gank you.
Always got to be prepared.
Yep. And Wizzy, that has to be on its own line. You can't do it as a part of a conversation sentence.
Look at you trying to rush it. Wizzy's in a hurry over here.
Yeah. And Penumbral, we'll talk about that later. I'm glad you brought that up. We'll talk about that later. Now, another thing that I wanted to bring up was the concern about growing nodes and the node development in general. Hello, Packets, welcome in. So this is from the Insane. Okay, Pala the Insane. Ha, got it. Anyway, they say, so I have a growing concern about how nodes will be developed and leveling AOC. It seems like it is going to be pretty obvious that some zones, and thus some nodes, are going to be far more popular hubs than others simply based on their geographic location in the world. I would like to touch on that in just a second. Actually, you know what? Let's just touch on that alone. That's actually a good starting point. How do you feel about that statement? It seems like it's going to be pretty obvious that some zones and thus some nodes are going to be far more popular hubs than others simply based on their geographic location in the world.
Yeah. Absolute facts right there.
I kind of disagree. Maybe initially, but I kind of disagree.
I think there's almost always going to be people working to have a metropolis node in the middle of the map, as close to the middle as possible. Because then they can go from their node to anywhere in the world in basically the same amount of time. Like, it wouldn't be, well, we'd have to go all the way over there from here, so I mean, it's not worth the time. Literally, if you want to go to there, it's the same as going to the other activity, the same as going to the other activity. It's the same amount of time everywhere. And it's literally, you're traveling at half the map at most.
Yeah. For me, I don't, so my thing that I'm taking issue with isn't like traveling or whatever. It's specifically saying that some are going to be popular based on their geographic location. I think maybe initially that might be true initially. However, I think as the node types are become known, I think people might start prioritizing the type of node over the location of the node. If node A is, let's say, a I don't know, economic node, and node B is a scientific, and it's a little further away from where node A is, but node A is the quote unquote more ideal spot, but node B will get you the second scientific node needed for the portal. I feel like people would probably go for the scientific node. It all depends on like what their importance is.
Yeah, so looking at geographic area, like for a region, I think is where I was focusing on. Like looking for a geographic location as a, like within a 10 node radius or something like that, or a 5 node radius, because in theory they're not going to have like 5 nodes jumbled together that are all divine. It's going to end up being like mixed up and rotational, so that you could have one node right here that's a divine, and the one right next to it's going to be military, the one right next to that in between them is going to be a economic, and you know, it's gonna be where they could just say, I want to be in this area, we need to have a node in this area right here, and they're gonna keep fighting to keep that the same, even though it's not the exact same node or the exact same type, but just something there. That's my idea anyway.
Each server roll to determine what the node type is. I kind of agree with that. Okay, so OP continues by saying this means it could end up being highly unlikely, borderline impossible to get to a node located in less popular reaches of the map, or get a node located in less popular reaches of the map to level up anywhere near reaching one of the 5 metropolis nodes on the server. Agree, disagree?
So
it's borderline impossible to level up a node, therefore, that is further away from one of these hubs.
So I would say somebody out there will try to prove this wrong in some way, shape, or form down the line. But I think they're pretty much right on that, to be honest. There's going to be people who absolutely have to try to make it happen, which means highly unlikely is truly the case, because it's not going to just happen. You have to actually try to make something like that happen.
I think it's highly unlikely at the beginning, but I feel like as time goes on, maybe people will spread out more. What do you think?
There's only going to be so many nodes that can level up, right? I think
until you see one.
At least if I recall correctly, somebody please feel free to check the wiki and correct me, but I think one of the statements that Steven had made about the nodes is that there's only going to be a certain number that can level up, and it's going to be determined by when the when some nodes start to get leveled up higher, they're going to end up just grabbing all the little nodes around them as vassals. Now, when it hits max level 6, it's going to be pumping out experience to all those to level them up. And so it's gonna centralize all the nodes around there. And there's literally not gonna be anything else outside of that to level up if they've hit the max number of nodes that can level. So something out in the middle of nowhere, they're gonna have to destroy that level 6 metropolis, and then they're gonna have to level up from like 0 to 6 if they're gonna lock in a metropolis out in the middle of nowhere.
And that interesting, but we also don't know how big these nodes are. Like, these nodes could be massive enough that 5 metropolis and their relative vassal nodes would be spread out enough to cover a really, really large chunk of the world. Just something to think about.
Yeah, it's
could be huge.
Yeah, I mean, so the map itself is going to be super huge for sure, especially what we're used to all around the place. But yeah, I still think just in general, it's going to be, like they were saying, highly unlikely, if not impossible, because it's going to need to get many people that want to go out in the middle of the mountains. That's really hard to get to, out in the middle of nowhere, to like all pump out, you know, a level 6 metropolis. Like, very first thing, like that's what they want to concentrate on, is doing all of their leveling in that node.
Well, here's a thought, because there's multiple starting areas, right? Portals to Vera. And I imagine those are going to be pretty spread out. So it's more like working your way from the outside in, I think. Rory says we're thinking about this all wrong.
It's quite possible. It's quite possible. This actually isn't something I put a ton of thought into. But yeah, I mean, that's something that I have put a little bit of thought into, at least, if not like full detailed analysis. But yeah, I just think that once the main 5 are kind of established, they reach level 6, then it's going to be really hard to kind of break that cycle of where exactly those are. It's going to be really hard. Like, those regions are kind of stuck in there almost till the end of time.
Yeah. Welcome in, real quick. Kai says, hello, glad to catch the live stream. New to the AOC space. I wanted to know if the MSQ of the game is told through the nodes, or if it's a separate thing. I think it's integrated. It's not only through the nodes, but also through, you know, the there's like 20% of dungeons that are instanced, right? So those are going to be storyline dungeons.
Yeah, there's going to be like the core main story quest is going to be instanced items or instanced places for like the dungeons and raids that are involved.
Yeah.
And everything else, they Steven's mentioned before something about they had to really work with questing, and questing was one of the more difficult systems to work with because of the fact that nodes are going to be at various stages and various levels at various times, and it's going to all be in flux. So they can't just say, like, when level 6 metropolis is over in node 73 or 74, then offer this quest and lock the, you know, game progress, like the main story behind a specific state in the world.
The easiest way for me to explain this, I shared to you the story arcs wiki link. That's how main stories are going to be given. The storyline is going to be through these story arcs, and they say story arcs unlocked by multiple types of player activity within each server, cultural activity, regional activity, node progression. So there's a lot more information there. That's all the information that we currently have on it. But I'm excited to hopefully see some main story, aka story arc stuff happening within Alpha 2 potentially, or hopefully a live stream before then. That'd be cool. Is there player created commission? That would be probably the mayor commissions. What about expansions added new content to different servers at the same time? That has always blown my mind. Yeah, right. Of course. We highly recommend the wiki, by the way. Welcome to the community. Ashesacreation.wiki is ran by Lex and a group of our friends that have been within the community since 2017, if not before. And we really like them because they do a very good job, in our opinion, of citing all of the sources and making sure that everything is up to date. So definitely check them out. Yeah, they absolutely rock. We did not see nor hear anything about on stream. Yeah, mayoral. That's because they already talked about mayoral commissions previously. And all that information is on the wiki as well. It wasn't exactly as in depth, but I think they had a lot of slideshow information on how the mayoral system for the commissions work. But
I'm looking.
I mean, also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say real quick. I'm looking through real quick to try and find the quote because I Am Royer mentioned that responded to rather a statement from Rocco saying basically if a node has no competition, then it could eventually grow really big over time. What I'm doing right now, I'm trying to look through the node wiki right now because I believe there was a quote somewhere saying that there were only a certain number of nodes that can level. So like once those metropolises, metropoli, I'm gonna call them metropoli, are established, then none of the other ones are gonna level like at all. They're gonna stay at level 0 or tier 0, whatever you want to call it. They're not going to level up to 1 or 2 or whatever.
I think pockets are I think what you're thinking of is more indicative of trade chat. And I'm not trying to be like dismissive. I think you have a good idea. Pockets Art says, I hope there's more than just mayoral commissions. I think crafters should be able to request commission as well. I think that's what trade chat should be commissioning, requesting trade for like whatever item, be it materials, be it the finished product. K Bessa, I don't really know what all servers Intrepid has currently, but I do know they intend to sustain a variety of regions. And I think that's a better question for Intrepid. We are just two humble tavern owners within the community. I hope players can set buy orders in a stall or auction house. Chaffee says, I think it just goes off the vassal system, doesn't it? Maybe.
It's possible. But I do know that 85, what I do need to do is just look around and try to find the doc that I wrote up at one point. Because we were doing the math, or I was doing the math at least, and we were talking about it on how many people would be able to be housed by apartments at a maximum. And how many people would be able to have freeholds and stuff like that. And I know I calculated out how many nodes would be leveled up based on how many could be level 6 and then how many could be level 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 below them. And I know it did not count everything that was out there. What I don't know is outside of that zone of influence, because they're bound as vassals to another node, if there's any way for another node to just level up to 2 and just not ever hit 3 if they're outside of that zone of influence, and there's just going to be a bunch of camps floating around the world. But
interesting.
Yeah, that'd be I guess a decent question. If out in the middle of nowhere there could be, five metropolises all over the map, and then in the middle of nowhere there's just a level 5 hanging out there waiting for the day when it can turn level 6, because one guild sat there from the beginning of the game for 3 years straight, spending all their time in the middle of the mountain.
Chaffee says, DJ Virtek, check the ZOI video. That was a simulation.
Yeah, that was a simulation. The
Life
one with all the different map
simulation.
colors that were popping up and down and going all over the place. Yeah, that one was interesting, but it was absolutely kind of purely theoretical. And I'm not sure if everything's going to work like that. Also, because they've changed everything since then. Now that instead of 111 nodes, there's like 85.
Bochi, that link for one is broken, I think. For two, I think that, yeah. All good. At least it's an Ashes of Creation wiki thing. I would just share just the regions part and just leave it at that.
Yeah, Galwood has it right there. They were buffer nodes that are not meant to level up. They're meant to just exist. That way, you know, the ZOI can wander and meander a little bit every once in a while, and it's not going to stay absolutely locked in place.
Yeah, about 20 nodes that can live alongside those metropolis networks, and when or if a metropolis falls, that extra cushion of nodes around the 5 metropolis structure allows for the map to be redistributed? Is that what you're saying? In a way that is unique. Okay. But yeah.
Or redistricted. Okay, I see.
Redistricted. Okay. Redistrict.
Yeah. Let's see, at that point, I forget when that was quoted exactly. But there were at one point 118 total nodes, including the castles. Now there are 100 total nodes. So they've eliminated 18 nodes in general.
I don't think, Raka, that you can... I think this is a conversation we already had, because those would be vassal nodes, right? Or are they just buffer nodes? Because I don't know. Like that's a hard...
Yeah, those buffer nodes...
They're vassal nodes, they can't like siege their parent node.
Didn't they go lower than that? No, there's that's the most recent, is 85 regular node locations and 15 additional castle locations. Because the castle's gonna have 3 total nodes that it takes up. Don't think buffer nodes are a thing anymore. We're gonna figure this out right now. So let's see, call nodes. Let's see.
Somewhere in that wiki it says all nodes and become a town.
Oof. I mean, all nodes can become a town. There's the possibility of it. Let's see.
I have no idea, Penumbral.
Okay,
that is a great question for the wiki.
In August of 2022 is the quote that that's being referenced here by Galwood, and it does say that those vassals don't exist between 3 and X, but they do exist between 4, 3, 5, or 4 and 3, 5 and 4, 6 and 5. And what this also allows is that because there are 85 nodes that are within the world, we have a buffer zone of about 20 nodes that lives in a max server state. If you had a maximum 5 metropolises form in a world, you would have a number of about 20 nodes that can live alongside those metropolis networks. Doesn't mean one of these 5s is going to pick up where the last 6 left off. From a territory perspective, ancillary nodes play with and expand towards redistrict the map. If Metropolis falls, there's a significant difference in the layout of the world and the layout of these almost nation-like territories. Yeah, castles. Yeah, castles have 3 nodes. I'm guessing they fit right in the middle, and then there's 3 little nodes that they have to build up and fortify. Wait, castles are 3 nodes each. Zones of influence include existing nodes of the... Yeah. 15 nodes in total as extra for the castles. Let's see. Ashes and Era brought another quote out here. Castle nodes are leveled through questing by the owning guild or alliance guilds. Leveling castle nodes is hastened at the end of each week leading up to castle siege. There's a period of time in the weekend where NPC generated caravans start moving toward one of the castle nodes, carrying castle taxes from the nodes that fall under the castle purview.
Interesting. Galwood says, so buffer nodes are still limited by adjacent nodes, even though they aren't vassalized, but there's nothing to prevent a buffer node from becoming a city if it isn't locked out. Hi, Oracle, welcome in. There's more, but read the wiki for it, yeah. I don't think the DOI of castles are extra nodes. They could be part of the 85. Kai says, as a Guild Wars 2 player, it was nice to see the event system. It had elements of the meta event and the original concept of the living world, but they had to leave it, I think, due to nature of how the story works. But I think an evolution of the elements work well for a node story arc here. I'm not entirely sure what you're saying, but I kind of understand what you're saying. Oh boy.
All right, which one?
What Kai said.
Okay, so as a Guild Wars 2 player, it was nice to see the event system had elements of the meta event and the original concept of the living world, but they had to leave it, I think, due to nature of how the story works. But I think an evolution of these elements works well for story node arcs here. I think I gather what you're saying there, and I could see that, like, the way that Guild Wars 2 was created, you could actually buy like specific pieces of an expansion instead of like buying the whole thing. It was all kind of chunked out in interesting ways. So quests could continue through and all that, but if you had to buy that specific portion of the expansion to be able to do those things, because it was kind of locked out in a way.
Hi, War Crimes, welcome in. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and move us along, because this is a bit further into nodes than I was anticipating going, and I don't really have a whole lot to say on this subject.
Okay.
But the next thing I wanted to talk about is time dedication. Speaking of time, we've already been live for an hour. It's crazy how fast this goes. We chatted a while back about how long it should take you to level, and I want to go into that a bit more and also talk about how much time it takes to be considered a master of something in Ashes of Creation, which is suggested by this month's dev discussion. We were talking about, you know, how long should it take you to get to like max level, how much time and effort, like 60 hours, 45 hours, etc. But like, I want to go deeper than their question about time dedication. Their question specifically is, how much time do you think someone should invest in order to become an expert at an MMORPG, which I feel is way too vague. There's a lot of things that you could become an expert in, and it really depends. What are the differences between an expert player versus a casual player, time commitment, skill, game knowledge, etc.? And some starter thoughts where like expert and casual can be subjective terms. What does being an expert or a casual mean to you? What are the differences you see in a casual versus expert play on a day-to-day basis in your favorite MMORPGs? Is total time spent in MMORPG an important factor to you? And do you feel you're an expert in some MMORPGs or systems within them, but not in others? And I like the direction that they were trying to go, but I think what matters more is an expert at what, right? Like, just saying being an expert in an at an MMORPG, I think I'm an expert at an MMORPG. I know what a quest is. I know how to play the game. I know that you fight things and you gain XP, and I know that you can craft things, and you can usually go and do other artisanships or like raiding. So to me, I'm an expert at MMORPGs. And that's my like funny way of saying that, how vague that is. But what are your thoughts on being an expert at different things? Because I don't think it should be expert versus casual. I think it should be hardcore versus casual and expert versus newbie.
Yeah, I think that's really a weird question. Because expert player versus casual player. Expert to me implies that you know things, not that you've spent a certain amount of time or whatever, or you play a certain amount of time every day. Because somebody could literally listen to podcasts, watch videos and whatnot on their way to work. Well, don't watch podcasts on your way to work unless you're on a bus, just saying. Like they could watch podcasts, listen to podcasts, watch videos, read strategy guides, and read just in general game guides. And when they're casually playing, they're like 6 to 10 hours a week. They could learn everything else that they need to learn in game, and they could pick it up because they're really good with games, and they could play a grand total of like 100 hours in a year. I mean, at most. And end up getting to be on more of an expert level than somebody that plays 15 to 20 hours a week and ends up putting in like thousands of hours every year.
Right.
So I think it's a weird question, to be honest. Like the weird way, I kind of see where they're going with it, like casual versus hardcore, maybe.
Possibly. But also, I mean, let's put it this way. With playing Overwatch, I noticed a difference in my gameplay from when I first played Overwatch in December, by the way, to now in March, although I haven't played yet, so we'll say February. I've noticed in a 2-month time span a very large difference in my playing, not only as like Kiriko, who's my favorite character to play, but I've also figured out how to play other healers instead of just being that person that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm still kind of in the newbie zone, but I'm not exactly like as newbie as I was before. So I feel like it really depends on how complex something is as to whether or not time dictates your expertise, right? Let's say 40 hours a week at doing this one particular thing, or like 40 hours of doing this one particular thing, not a week, but makes you kind of really good at it. But another 40 hours later of playing whatever that particular thing is, being it crafting, being it PvP, etc., you've now found an additional 40 hours worth of experience that has adjusted your previous knowledge. And I think it kind of comes down to like, what exactly are we talking about? Are we talking about crafting? Because you can become an expert crafter by just going through the crafting system and being like, oh, this is how you make this is how you make that, you know? But if you're talking about like being a master healer or an expert healer, that's constantly fluctuating, right? You have to learn all the different types of the healing, especially primary and secondary when talking about ashes, and how each of those skills work together. And I feel like in my mind, if you said I'm an expert healer, you know exactly how everything works together within your own skill set and all of your skills that work with other people's skill sets and when to use them. To me, that's what an expert would be. And that could be a number of hours, or it could be somebody who's just really intelligent and just understands everything when they're reading through like how everything works. Also, have a good night.
Yeah, have a good night there, Kaiji. Or Cage, however it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't know. I'm going to make stuff up. Every time it's going to be something different. I apologize. But, yeah, I think if I were to realign what I think they might be, as far as the terms, maybe expert and newbie? Expert and beginner, whatever?
That's why I was saying I don't think casual is a good opposite end of the spectrum. You can be a casual expert, as Bob just mentioned, and that's what I was going to respond. Like that's my point. Like I don't think they're opposite. I think it's a 3-dimensional or XY axis.
Yeah. But yeah, I think being an expert really means just knowing, maybe not knowing everything about everything, but really knowing at least a medium amount of things about all this stuff, which means you've tried so many different things. It could even end up being like you're an expert tank. It's because you've tried all the different tanks, you've tried all the different little components of or not components, but all the little skill tree options for tanking, right? All the different little items that you can to equip yourself with to get most magic, most physical, most whatever. Hidden Dagger in is an expert peon. I have no idea what that takes, but it's probably carrying around a lot of lumber and chopping a lot of trees.
Wizzy says I'm a casual at gaming, expert at chatting.
Yeah. But difference in expert level play on a day-to-day basis versus in your favorite MMORPGs. Differences in casual versus expert gameplay. Man, I think that's very contextual. Because I know some absolutely expert PvP players, like they can run rings around anybody who's even like mid-tier and literally be telling jokes on the side and like, oh no, not be paying attention at all and still run circles around them. But you put them in a raid and they get flabbergasted and they get exploded by a boss. Virtek with the big words. I try. I've read a dictionary once. Well, a couple words in it anyway. And then total time spent in an MMORPG. I think I covered that at the beginning though. Like I don't think time has anything to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like over time you become better at stuff, but I feel like time is half the battle, right? If you consider a real life job, right? When you first start the job, you don't really know much about the job. And how quickly you become good at the job depends on how much effort you put in to learning the job. You could be pretty decent at doing like waitressing and ordering and stuff like that. Or I think more of an expert person would be more efficient, right? In my example, for my work, I push myself to learn constantly. So I'm not an expert necessarily, but I am more experienced than I was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Precisely.
Necker says you can't have a job if you want to play an MMO.
I mean, what if you get a whole bunch of people to sponsor your addictions and you make the MMO your life? That is your job. TGF
Tavern would like to make this our full-time job.
We would. We would. We'd like to make Ashes and TGF Tavern content and maybe a real life tavern our full-time jobs.
Yeah. Retirement is a fix. Strauss says there are so many variables to expert. It's best, in my opinion, to spread your sources of information. And do something better with those people. But yeah, I think time investment is a portion of it, but yeah, excuse me.
The meatery it is.
There's a lot of good answers, and Vaknar and I believe maybe Roshan is in here too. At least Vaknar is in there responding to people's posts and engaging. So if that's something that you want to talk more about on their terms specifically, here's the listing once again. And I'd be a patron of your real life tavern. Awesome. We'd love to have you. Why do you guys think they're having this dev discussion? Honestly, I feel like some of the dev discussions are based around, how in depth maybe something should be, but also what if they're planning something like an expert title or something?
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. And honestly, every once in a while, there might just be some filler discussion. It might just be like, hey, I want to know what people that are here for our game, what they think about this. Because we hear casual and experts and, newbie and all this and that. What does that mean to people? Curious.
Yeah. Filler discussion. It could just be like getting an idea of like where the community stands on different topics. and just seeing how that reflects against their own thoughts on those same topics.
Well, maybe the Spider Woman is onto something.
Let me see.
We cover all the stuff that we were thinking of covering.
Most of it.
As you know, I've found like a Pavlovian response to the song that's playing in my ear right now, because this is right about the time when we normally are wrapping up, because I've edited enough videos with this being the song at the end where we close. And now every time the song comes on, I'm like, we should be wrapping up now.
Oh, we can wrap up. We have been live for a little over an hour.
I mean, we can like chill close it out. I was just saying it was funny because that's what went through my brain immediately. It was like, well, did we already cover all the stuff? Because this is the song. Are you
open to keep talking?
I'm open to chill out for a little bit. Yeah. Should
we ask chat what they want?
Thunderball says we're halfway there.
That's what you said last night.
Well, we're halfway there.
Okay, what do you think? I'm gonna let you guys say, like, tell us if you want us to keep going or not. But in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you what the next week's question is. And that way we can kind of be able to have this maybe as a little bit of a cutoff point if we need to, so that the live stream later on YouTube is not too long. But the next question I was gonna ask is for next week, and this is already up on not only our Twitter but also our Discord. My question for you for next week that we're going to cover next Wednesday is, how shareable should quests be? And I'm going to send you the Twitter link. And if you want to join our Discord, make sure to get the community role when you join in order to view the Discord forum areas. But we saw the commission Dev stream, and we wanted to know, how shareable do you think quests should be? Should we be able to share a commission? Should they autocomplete? Should we have to be partied for it? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the description of YouTube or on Twitter or in our Discord, wherever you would like. Wherever suits where we can find it.
Yeah, Nara, I would say quest itself, maybe not sharing progress, but you could totally include that in your opinion too.
But I'm seeing a few requests that we keep going. So what do you guys want to hear us talk about? Should we just pull in Bochi and see where the wind takes us?
Oh lordy. Scares me.
Scares you?
Where would that wind take us? All right,
I don't know.
Set, go.
All right, Bochi, you're being dragged in whether you ask for it or not. Hi.
Hello, guys.
Hello. How's it going?
I think I'm delayed. I'm doing great. Long time no see.
Yeah. You are a little delayed. That's okay. And before the Golden Feather Tavern turns to the real Karen restaurant. No.
Real Karen restaurant chain. Could you imagine that? Just all the servers are Karens.
That's the other side of the world.
How awkward would that be?
So, honestly, one of the things that I was wondering with what we're going to be able to see going forward is what you guys... I heard last night for the first time that we're going to see Fighter next. So, what are you hoping to see with Fighter?
What am I hoping to see with Fighter?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not terribly excited about Fighter. Not because I think it's a bad class or that it's going to be a bad stream, but just it's one of those classes that to me I've never really been like the warrior player or the swordsman player or the whatever the default character is with some heavy armor and a big weapon. I've never really been that guy unless that is the character of the game and you can't really change it. Even going to I'm drawing a blank on its name and it's gonna kill me. Elden Ring. Even going to Elden Ring, I'm really sad that like the meta by far is to use a gigantic weapon and a lot of strength, because I really wanted to use a dex build and be a little fast guy and do fast stuff and do crits and things, but found out the game does not work like that in any way, shape, or form, and it made me super sad.
Yeah. And a few people mentioned that we've already seen Fighter before, so they're a little sad that they're bringing up Fighter again.
I gotta cut in here. Wizzy, listen to my voice. Je te trouve très jolie, mais non, je viens pas de la France.
What'd you say?
I know I just spoke in French because she said she thought it was from France, asking from the EU servers, but I'll try to play on the same server as Virtek and Chibi, East Coast, NA. And about the fighter, I don't really care about the fighter. I can't wait to see the bard.
Yeah, you and me both. You and me both. I really hope we get to play really hardcore dance music like they did on the preview video.
I think that blew one of my speakers.
You think it blew one of your speakers? Nice.
Seriously, like my last speakers, I think the distortion like broke something. The sound was too high when I played that video. It was great, very, very funny, but nope.
Oh, man.
Welcome in, Alex. Alex Tyrell says maybe we have seen Rogue every stream, but it was in stealth mode. Yes, Ashes in Air, they did. I guess off of Narc's video. We're gonna see the same stuff over and over. I don't think they want to give us much more info about before Alpha 2. Yeah, but there's a few things that they promised before Alpha 2 that they probably could be showing us instead of Fighter. But I don't know if we've, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've seen a true Fighter actual showcase.
No, we saw the fighter existing in a video that was showing off combat.
Yeah. So I would like to see more with that. I know that there's like that template on the ground that has like the phoenix when he stomps or whatever. But I'm interested in I'm interested in seeing it just because I want to know what they've done with it, right?
Yeah. That's like, basically the reason I would like to see it, is just to see what has happened. But I'm not hoping for anything specific, to be honest, just because I've never been like a straight fighter player.
Yeah. I went note 3. Well, it is a class that exists. Yeah, I know. That's fair. That's a good point. I wouldn't be surprised if we see tank or cleric, and we should not. Honestly, I think that's already been shown enough. If they show tank and fighter, or tank and cleric again, I think that's just not necessary at this point. They've already done. Let's
be honest though. Can they focus enough on tanks? Can they really focus too much on tanks? I don't think so.
That's because you like tanks. I think you're biased.
Everybody should like tanks. Healers should love tanks.
I don't like tanks.
Healers I don't like should love tanks.
I don't like the tank showcase. The tank showcase is fine. But also, as a healer, I don't really want another cleric showcase. Give me something else, please.
What were you gonna say, Butchie?
I was just gonna say maybe they're further along than we think, and we might get spoiled with maybe like a secondary class or something like that.
Ooh.
An augment.
Yeah, maybe that'd be nice. Summoner Jules. I mean, that was the cool thing. So, what did you guys think about seeing the NPC summoner?
It was pretty cool.
I missed something. We didn't see the summoner yet.
Yeah, we did. In the most recent live stream, there was an NPC that kept summoning things that Steven had to fight off. It was the blue creatures.
Yeah.
Okay, but we didn't see it as a player.
No, but that wasn't my question. NPC. My question was, what do you think of the NPC summoner? I thought it looked cool. Yeah.
I don't know. It was background noise. It looked fine, like the weather, like you said, and everything like that, but it was not presented well. It was just like in the background. I don't know.
Yeah, it brought out like little ghosty enemies that were attacking him, and as Steven killed the summoner itself, the little ghosty NPC wolves, I think they were wolves, if I remember right.
One of them may have been. I know there was birds definitely at one point.
Oh, that's right. It was birds. It was birds. So I think the wolves was like the little example image that they showed on stream at one point.
Yeah.
Wolves, ravens, something else.
Wizzy says NPC summoner was good. Everything is polished, so I'll take that or leave that. Wolves, ravens, and something else. Yeah. But I thought it was really cool because that was the first time we've actually seen an NPC summon something and attack somebody with that thing.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. I think that gave a lot of people kind of a sneak peek to what to expect for actual summoner as a player.
And you know what is neat also is I liked how when the summoner got deaded, the summons disappeared. For a couple different reasons, because no matter whether you are fighting a summoner or fighting as a summoner, that's kind of a good thing if you look at it the right way. Because if you're fighting against a summoner and that happens, you know that if you can power down the summoner quick enough, then all of the summons are going to die too. So you can absolutely focus the summoner and drop them down, and all their little things go when they fall over and lose all their life points. That can
overwhelm you really quick if you have a couple of summoners on you. And let's say, because Nara says, I hope summons stay in the world if the summoner dies. Let's say that the summons stay in the world after the summoner dies, and you have 2 or 3 summoners on you. That's ridiculous. That's a lot. And honestly, at the end of the day, the summoner, if you think about it, a summoning pack should only exist if you are alive to have that pact. Once you die or you turn to ash or whatever, I feel like that pact should be severed. Thus, the summons disappearing.
Yeah. Well, see, the other neat part is if you're playing as a summoner, that means that people are likely going to focus on you. So if you can prepare well enough to just stay alive, they might completely ignore your summons while they just chase that person down while they're chasing you. Be like a little Benny Hill action, just running back and forth around a map, and your summons are just tearing them apart while they're trying to kill you. And here you are just popping pots and bandages and whatnot just to stay alive real quick.
Yeah. I like what Raka says. Raka says, I do like the concept of NPCs having player archetypes as well. Wizzy says, what I noticed this stream, it just looked better across the board. Environment, mage casting, resurrection animation, NPC summoner pets looked good. Well, I just saw New World Town Board. The rest pleased me. That's fair. So Wizzy feels like the town board, the commission board feels like the New World Town Board, apparently. I've not seen it. I've not experienced it. So. What'd you say?
It's the exact same thing. It's a copy of it. And again, like the stream was not I know the title was about the board and those small quests or commission, whatever they're called. But even then, everything else was better than the boards. Like in that stream, it was a great stream. Everything you saw, like the evolution of it, it was great.
Yeah. Penumbral says New World stole it.
Yeah, and Penumbral, I think anybody is old enough / young enough for Benny Hill. Like, Benny Hill memes should last forever because it's a classic and it's hilarious stuff, and it really explains a lot of situations in one funny little 5-second audio video clip.
Strauss, what are you saying is really close? I would say it really close but function differently. Maybe you're saying it looks really close to New World but it functioned differently, I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah, it looks. Yeah,
what?
It's really close, but function differently. The town boards.
Yeah. No, sorry, that wasn't what I was wanting. Ezekiel says, "What I am digging is that AOC is taking aspects of other games, makes them better." Yeah, I like that too. That was actually a conversation we just had, I believe, last week and the week before that. By the way, if you are a subscriber, you have access to our Tavern chat area for patrons only. and we offer you giving us a question that we can discuss on our Wednesday streams or a topic. So it doesn't have to be a question. It could be just the topic that you want us to cover. So make sure you go and give us that in there before Saturday. But Nara says it's a bulletin board. Don't they all look similar, or is the exact copy of your old ones? I'm not sure. But yeah, there's only so many ways you can reinvent a bulletin board, I think, at the end of the day, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's like saying that somebody copied a tire off of another tire manufacturer. That's
why I love the idea of the racial influence on the bulletin boards. I think that is very clever. It's just a reskin at the end of the day.
It's just a grain on the beach. Like, it's going to be something, mechanics so small in the game. Like, we're putting a lot of attention on it because Alpha 2's not in there yet. But once that out, you will forget that those board are there. You will be so busy 24/7. Those will be like maybe for doing 1 or 2 before going to bed, but it's not going to be anything close to your main time-consuming thing to do. The boards are, I don't want to say irrelevant, but they're tiny.
Yeah. And honestly, what they look like is not going to matter too much because you're going to walk right past them, recognize it, check it, grab something, and keep running.
Yeah, after, like, I'm sure we're paying so much attention to it right now because this is the, the big reveal of everything. But I feel like after a period of time, you're just going to pop in and just grab whatever quest and just not really think much of it after a time. And Chappie says, unless the board is a mimic.
Don't be a mimic. Don't be a mimic.
That would be a first mimic board. I'm for it.
But
oh lordy.
Yeah.
You people are crazy. But I like how you think.
Indeed.
Boy, well,
interesting.
What's interesting?
Penumbral says there's going to be more than one board. Steven said various buildings will have a board depending on which buildings are made. Different boards might look different.
Yeah, quite possible. I mean, I could see a variety of them posting around town. Now the question is, because of how they're all about travel matters, choice matters, this matters, that matters, etc. Do you think if there were, say, 5 different message boards, or 5 different bulletin boards around town, would they all have the same bulletins on them, the same commissions, or would they be different based on whatever's closest to them?
Or would they be different based on the building type? If the building type is something to do with crafting, maybe it's a crafting commission versus something that's closer to, I don't know, a tavern. That might be more of a go out and defeat this creature commission.
The only thing I can't wait to see on the board is that beside those small little tiny quests of going outside, grabbing like 3 apples or whatever, I hope they're going to incorporate in there some tiny quests for inside, that those that never want to lift the sword only build stuff or sell stuff. So you'd have mini quests of build so many things, bring them back here for stuff for crafters or stuff like that. I hope they put some little quest for that too.
Yeah,
it'd be neat.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't even know which way I'd prefer, to be honest. Like all the same quest across the entire town, or if they should be different.
I kind of want them to be different because then it gives meaning for having so many different ones. Like, oh, go to this one if you're looking for your crafting stuff. Oh, go to that one if you're looking for hunting stuff. I kind of like that. And then maybe the tavern one could have a variety of each one because it's from across the city.
Yeah. However,
I mean, at least I hope there's a tavern board.
If there were 6 of them, I think, doesn't it take something like, didn't they time it to be like a minute or 2 to actually cross a node? Like 2 minutes or something to go from one side of a node to the other?
No idea.
If you're going to hit 5 different bulletin boards in town, that's going to be like a 10-minute process.
Well, I'm not saying go and hit all of them. I'm saying whatever you're fancying, that's the one you go to, right? Like I'm fancying doing some crafting, so I know exactly where to go to look at crafting stuff. I'm fancying doing some processing. I know exactly where to go to do some processing stuff,
I could see that. I can see it. That makes sense.
Ashner says, thinking outside the box here.
Oh,
What
Lord.
if it's a box full of kittens and you pick up a kitten and it tells you the commission? Meow, go to the forest. Meow, kill 10 minotaurs. Meow.
Kill 10 meownatars. Meow.
Meownatars. Here's an important question. Will the commissions be the same per person during the 30-minute window?
Yeah, that's going to be a good question. Like, imagine if they snuck in some of those with the different colors of commissions and one of them was like a really rare one and they actually only have like 10 people can pick that one up and that's it. Once the 10th person picks it up, gone. Nobody else can grab it.
Or even worse, once somebody grabs one, that removes it and puts a new one, so nobody can do the same one at the same time, maybe?
I don't know. I don't like that idea, because if the purpose is to level up the node, you're gonna want enough people doing it and contributing XP for the node. But also that defeats the whole purpose of even sharing a quest. If it's only one person can pick it up before it disappears, then like what's the point of doing that if I can just share the quest?
The point would be if you're going to send 20 people to grab one kind of rock instead of like putting one people on trees, one people on rock, and then when somebody grabs the rock, you tell the third person to go grab some fish. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see it because like if everybody
gets more like a mayoral thing.
Yeah.
To me.
I don't know. Time will tell. It could be anything. Could be anything what they do with that.
Yeah.
But either way, folks, I know we hung out a little bit extra today, but 1 hour 30 is probably where we should wrap up, mainly just because of food. Food is a desire. Also, it's been a really, really long day. Work's been murder.
Yeah.
Work's been murder. But my brain is starting to buzz over. But
the beast. Lots of people on the quest to make people who don't know each other see and notice each other. Maybe they become friends. Maybe, yeah, I like that. And thank you so much for hanging out yourself as well. Chappy says I'm ready for sleep.
Ezekiel says we should make him some food too. Well, all you got to do is swing on over, friend. That's it. Just swing on over. We will save you some. You just have to get here.
I say we go right at Thogly.
Thogly? There's a Thogly?
Yep.
Holy macaroni. He was just doing the robot. He was just doing the robot. He was like... And I don't know why, but I found it amazing. All right, I could be down for a Thogly. Well, did you have anything you would like to say in closing?
I think that the commissions were more interesting than a lot of people gave them credit for, and I feel like a lot of people probably don't realize just how extensive the commission was, just because it did encompass everything. Yes, it felt very PvE, but that was the point. It encompassed all of that just to upgrade the node, and that was the whole point, is those quests then counted as XP towards not only the characters but also the node at the time.
Hey, look, there's one of the wolves on the screen right now attacking Steven.
Yeah.
And hey, Pochi, since you're in here with us, do you have anything you would like to say to the stream before we tap out?
La Taverne voudrait vous remercier d'être passé. On vous aime beaucoup, puis à la prochaine. So I love you all, and I hope to see you soon. The Tavern thanks you all, and for coming. It was fun.
Yay.
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Thank you, folks, for hanging out. As we always say, just hanging out with us, chatting, joining in conversation, which you did plenty of today, is the greatest form of support. We love you for it. Cannot state how much we appreciate it enough. So. And
if you liked this kind of content, you want to see more, check us out on YouTube. We're at TGF Tavern on all the social medias.
And all of them, everywhere. But either way, you have yourselves a great day, and we will catch you next time.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Stretching while I say bye.